What is the cringiest thing you have done to get a crush's attention? I liked a boy in the 7th grade. Every day I would buy a Gatorade and pretend I couldn't open it and ask him to. One day I did open and panicked. I tried to close it again as tight as I could and give it to him to open it for me. He called out on how easy it was to open and looked like it had already been opened. I wanted to climb under the bleachers. I had a girl do this to me in high school. She was in our friend group and only ever asked me to open her Diet Pepsi bottle. One time it was really on their hand, so I gripped it tight and cranked it open, causing it to spray all over her. She stopped asking me after that. At least you made a girl wet. I was young. Called crush's phone every 60 seconds for an hour. No answer. Repeat. I figured she'd pick up once she got home, and I wanted to talk to her as soon as possible. Unfortunately, she was on the phone with someone else the entire time, getting the "you have another call" notifications about incoming calls, just wasn't responding to them. After about the 60th time she picked up and screamed, "What?" and I tried to worm out of it like it wasn't me that had just called her over and over and over. She didn't buy it, of course. This one still keeps me up at night 30 years later. We had a foreign exchange student my freshman year of high school. She was French and absolutely gorgeous, so naturally, all of us boys were smitten with her. She was in choir and sang really well, so I figured, since I was a musician as well, that was my in with her. So, I busted my ass and learned a love song from a very popular French opera. It took me a really long time to memorize, and I thought it would be a bold gesture. So, I sang it to her flawlessly and asked her how she liked it, thinking that taking the effort to learn a love song in her language would be a great gesture. Well, that day, I found out that she was Swedish, not French. I'm fucking stupid. In kindergarten, I proposed to my crush by yelling across the playground. Didn't get an answer back. In high school, I got some presents for my different crush's birthday. Barely talked to her in person because I was painfully shy, but always talked to her on AIM. Went up to her awkwardly with a red face, gave her the presents, said happy birthday, and walked away immediately out of sheer embarrassment. She told me later she liked the gifts. Well, at least she liked the gifts. I once had an oblivious customer who would always try and hit on one of my coworkers, give her a pair of earrings for Christmas. She didn't have pierced ears. In 12th grade I had a huge crush on this guy in one of my classes. I knew his favorite book and movie was Fight Club, so I googled everything about it, along with watching the movie. On Valentine's Day, I sent him a card that said "I want to have your abortion" and gave him my phone number. Sheepishly handed her a letter and ran away. In like 10th grade that would have been like a D-rambly mess in speech form that basically said "Hey, you're cool, want to hang out sometime?" in 3 paragraphs, because I was nervous as all fuck and didn't know how to people. Funny thing is that she brought it up again in senior year and asked if I wanted to catch a movie or something. Oh shit, what did you say? I'm curious. In the letter, don't really remember. Her family had some horses, and I remember mentioning that and asking her if she wanted to hang out sometime outside of the context of the horses. When she brought it up senior year, that's around when I was finally learning how to people, so I was able to laugh about it and say sure, give her my number. And by my number one mean my parents' number, because this was before cell phones were really a thing, like 2005. She ended up leaving me a voicemail, played phone tag a bit, movie thing didn't work out, and I don't remember exactly why, but we just never ended up doing anything. Didn't have any opportunity to hang out in school either. Only had one study hall together for 1 quarter and no common classes senior year. 13 years old, I learned my crush had taken ballroom dancing lessons. Delighted to have something to talk to him about, I proceeded to harass him all of homecoming with what I probably thought was good-natured ribbing. Looking back, I was being an asshole and straight up making fun of him. Poor guy took it like a champ. But fucking hell, I had no idea how to be social. Sorry, Phil. High school. I brought a mirror to school so I could stare at the guy on the down low, except he immediately noticed and pointed it out to his buddies sitting next to him. Then at break time he told me to stop staring at him and subsequently avoided me like the plague. Felt bad, man. Once I was 14, I accidentally sent a picture of me in a super fancy dress to my crush because I wanted him to ask me to the dance. I did something similar. I took an actual physical print of photos of myself doing what I thought were sexy poses. For some reason, I did these poses in striped rain boots, edit, and a men's button-down shirt as a dress, in my wood-paneled basement, and then at school I dropped the pictures out of my bag in front of my crush. He helped me pick them up, and didn't have much to say about it, so I just shoved them back into my bag. At some point during the rest of the school day, they must have fallen out of my bag. I didn't notice. About a week later, this girl brought half of the pictures to me and said something like, "These were on a bench in park in the neighboring town. I thought you might like them back." I have many times imagined what their mortifying journey to that park must have been like. I never got the other half back. Someone might still have prints of me at 13 posing in rain boots. Or maybe I'm an unsolved police case. Hey, remember those pictures we found of a little girl being made to pose in some sicko's wood-paneled porno basement? It was an embarrassing and edifying experience. Now I'm just really glad that I didn't have cell phone picture messaging at the time, or the pictures could have made it a lot further than just the park in the neighboring town. I was 15 and I had a crush on this boy for 2 years. One day a friend of mine told me that he was about to ask me out. He came up to me, said hello, and while anxiety took the best of me, I wanted to look cool, so I said, do I actually know you? Are you new in school? He instantly turned around and left. We had been classmates since elementary school. This one reminds me of 7th grade. I was in love with this one boy and I was painfully shy. We would talk during class though occasionally. On the last day of school we were all pretty much goofing off in class waiting for the day to be over, and he asked me to be his girlfriend. And I said no. Like a no, disgusted sort of reaction. I hated myself for years for that one. When I was about 15 or 16 years old, I went on a family holiday with my mum and sister to Italy. We were staying in a hotel with a shared swimming pool, and there were a few other families with kids of similar ages all hanging around. I used to see this girl, roughly my age or maybe a couple of years older, pretty much every day by the pool. Blonde hair, nice body, just basically gorgeous. I think because she smiled at me a couple of times I convinced myself that she must be the one, and due to boredom, this was before smartphones / the internet, I spent basically the whole week gearing myself up to go and talk to her. I spent days just thinking of ways I could approach her, what to say, building up courage. It was the most important thing in my life at that moment, but was difficult because she was always around her family, or I was around mine. There never seemed to be an opening. Then, right at the end of the holiday, the perfect moment presented itself. I was by the pool, alone. She was by the pool, alone. This was my time. This was everything. It all comes down to this moment. So what's it going to be? Am I going to be a man and approach her? Or spend the rest of my life in turmoil wondering what might have been? So I walked up to her. I smile. She smiles. I say hello. She looks confused. I say hello again. She still looks confused. Hi. Nope. That didn't work either. This is going horribly. Why did I do this? Please let me be hit by a sniper right now. Why is there never a sniper? I asked her if she wanted a drink, because, of course, if she can't understand a basic hello in English then a full sentence was definitely the best way to proceed, and she looked even more confused. I think during this whole exchange, which felt like 2 hours, but was in reality only about 26 seconds, she had only said the word "a," with a mixture of bewilderment and pity. So, I walked to the bar, bought 2 lemonades, I wasn't old enough to buy anything a little more suave, and walked back over to her. I mean, I'm invested at this point, right? No point in backing out now, otherwise I would have just made a total fool out of myself for absolutely no reason. I place her lemonade down next to her. She says thanks. So she did speak English, the fucking liar, and I swagger away feeling like James Bond. Until I dropped my glass, which smashed into tiny pieces, most of which went into the pool. which then had to be evacuated while the staff cleaned glass out of it. And I got told off by the lifeguard right in front of her and her family, who had since returned and were all staring at me. Hit me up if you need advice on how to approach the ladies, fellas. 9th grade, last day before Christmas break. There was a girl on the school bus who was once into me earlier in the year, but had now cooled off for some reason. I needed to get the fire going again. So I was going to bring Miss Leto on the bus, pull it out of my backpack at some point, and be like, oh yeah, this stuff grows everywhere. I was just picking some of it this morning while I was waiting for the bus, and that's all. What I was hoping for was that she would get the nerve to kiss me since I was holding Miss Leto. Well, Miss Leto grows high up in the tree. So I cut off a piece of holly and trimmed the thorns off of it, because who really knows what Miss Leto looks like anyway. So I'm sitting on the bus, she's sitting behind me, and I'm working up the nerve. Then the bus stops, this guy gets on, and immediately proceeds to give this girl a rose. And she gets excited and hugs him, and I'm sitting there with a trimmed holly branch in my backpack. In elementary, I went to school with a couple dudes that were very gymnastically inclined. They would do a double backflip off the swings instead of just one. They would do flips off the monkey bars, standing backflips, wall flips, you name it. The girls loved them. They would sit and be an audience for these guys every lunch almost. I got jealous. I practiced on my trampoline for a few days, tried some handsprings, which I got pretty good at, forwards not backwards. Then the next time they were showing off, I joined them. Boom, guy #1 comes running through, handspring, cartwheel, backflip, backflip. Guy #2 comes bolting behind him, cartwheel into aerial, into backflip. Here I come, cartwheel, into back handspring. Oh wait, I don't know how to do one backwards. Land on my neck, wind myself, start crying.